Hi, I'm Tami Floyd with Exit Real Estate Consultants, and I'm here today with...
I'm Amy Cofield, and I'm an attorney here in Lexington.
And this is her therapy dog for everybody who has anxiety issues about a home closing. This
Scarlett.
is Scarlett. She will help ease your anxiety.
She loves closings.
We're going to explain the closing process today to a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers. They don't understand what the closing process is. So can you explain a little bit about what they need in a closing attorney for? Sure. And what that process entails?
A lot of people know that they have to have an attorney for a closing, but don't know why and what all that I do. The first thing I do is get a contract that you have signed with your client, and we review it to see what the closing date is, the amount of the purchase, everything about the contract. Then I have to order title search, which is extremely important. With the title search, I find things like deed issues, which could be, making sure everybody signed it correctly, it was witnessed correctly, recorded correctly. You look for descriptions of the legal property, make sure it was described correctly. We find typos in a lot of deeds that have to be corrected. There's just so many things just in that one document that I have to look for in a title search.
What kind of issues that can come up, or have you had any major issues arise?
Oh, in 30 years, I've had a lot of deed issues come up. We've had them describe a completely different property so that somebody ends up owning a house down the street, things like that. Wrong names, like a wrong plat description, so it actually shows your neighbor's property, that sort of thing. All those little details are important to check in the title search. Then we have to check some stuff for the sellers too, because there's been mortgages in the chain of title with the seller, or even previous owners that are still of record, have never been satisfied. So we have to check on those as well.
Okay, so we know now we have to have a title search and deed issues, and there's recording issues, I guess, that also come along.
Right.
What about, do you ever have issues with surveys or easements? Do you recommend a survey? I know as realtors, we always recommend a survey.
Absolutely. There is a misconception too that people have with easements especially. They think that if an easement shows up in a survey that creates an easement, but that's not true. You have to have a described easement either in the deed or in a separate document. Okay. Then you show it in a survey, which brings me to the importance of the survey. Mm-hmm. Because the surveys are going to show your lot lines, if anybody has encroached over your lot line. It's going to show setbacks, if you have met proper setbacks for your subdivision, that sort of thing. It will show easements, driveways. Issues come up when, somebody might think that driveway's on their property when it's actually on the neighboring property, and that sort of thing. So we get surveys in often that don't even show the house where it sits on the property, which if you don't get a new survey, you're not going to know that that's a problem. Yeah. And I have had closings come where a house was actually built across the line of a neighboring property. Oh. I have one right now where someone's well runs directly down the middle of his neighbor's property. And because he didn't get a survey, now he's left with that problem. I'm dealing with the neighbor over that. So surveys are very important and show a closing attorney a lot of things that we need to know.
One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is the importance of title insurance.
Yeah. Title insurance is very important. It protects the buyer. You buy it one time, and usually always the lender makes you buy a policy anyway, that protects the lender. But you buy an owner's policy that protects you as the owner of the property. And especially if you have any equity in that property, you want your equity protected, not just the bank's mortgage.
Yes.
But it protects against faults in in the title, like if there was a fraudulent deed or somebody missed an easement. And those mistakes happen. Attorneys make mistakes, and they need to be checked as best we can. So
Okay.
that protects the buyer.
Good to know. As you can see, this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love working with Amy. She explains things in a way that people understand. She doesn't use a lot of legal jargon that confuses people. And I think that comes from her past being a teacher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love working with her because I know I can pick up the phone, ask her a question. I can have my client ask her a question, and she's always willing to help.
It's a celebration to buy a home, and especially first-time home buyers.
Yeah, it's
It's
very
so
exciting.
fun and it's so exciting, and you don't want it ruined by having a bad closing experience. So we try to make it as good as we can.
I agree. She does a fabulous job.
Thank you.